race 2 of the weekend in Valencia for Lamborghini Super Trofeo, the European Championship heading towards its close with this race and then 2 weekends of action at Vallelunga to round out what has been, as ever, a very competitive championship, a very well supported championship this year as well, with huge grids having been very much a feature all the way from Paul Ricard to Spa, Nürburgring and then to Valencia this weekend. The grid based on the second of the 2 qualifying sessions that we had yesterday morning. The road wet this morning but dry now. Earlier races have been getting faster and faster as the road has dried out. So the race yesterday was won on the last lap very impressively by Brendan Leach, who had a big dive to get past the Sebastian Balthazar, Matteo Moretti Oregon entry, and it was Balthazar at the wheel. But it is going to be Amaury Bonduel who lines up on pole position, his second pole of the weekend, but he has still not yet had a race win. Brendan Leach will be at the front of the grid with him. Good effort by Largin Ali to qualify third, and it's going to be Mattia Michelotto fourth on the grid ahead of Dan Arrow, the Dutch driver. Dan Paolas was, and then newcomer Federico Conti sixth, the Midjet racer, starting sixth on the grid. Everybody else still getting themselves into position. Sebastian Balthazar, who was the runner-up yesterday, he's going to be on the 4th row of the grid and eager to make amends for yesterday's strife. So the last handful of cars coming into position. The championship, as ever, of course, with 4 classes. You've got Pro and Pro-Am, Am, and the Lamborghini Cup, which is aimed at the very inexperienced drivers or just those that are pure gentleman racers. But what it does give is a good mix of racing and lots of good class battles rage on as well. Now, the cars are all on the grid pretty much. Gemma Scott is down there, David Addison trackside, and Gabriele Rindoni is with Gemma on the grid.
Gabriele, you're currently leading your class on points. You had a podium finish yesterday. Feeling confident coming into this race today?
Yeah, I have to say I'm good position to start. We try to, stay here, even go for the win if we can, and try to increase the lead in the championship.
Have a great race. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gabriele Rindoni, one of the solo drivers, so that means that his pit stop will be slightly longer. It is 89 seconds if you're a soloist, whereas 86 for the double driver entry. The reason being that if you're on your own, then you've got a little bit of extra experience of the track. The car, it's easier to get into or get back into a rhythm on that second stint rather than a driver who is coming fresh into the car. So that's the thinking behind it as you look there down at the cars on the grid. Amaury Bonduel, as I say, was on pole yesterday, but faded during the course of the race, ended up only 8th, and that sadly has been a bit of a feature this year. He's been good over at 1 lap in qualifying, but then it doesn't always translate into a good result. As far as the championship is concerned, after yesterday, Pro-Am being led now by Alex Au by just 1 point from Andrei Lewandowski, and then Frederick Schandorf, who's not here, he's racing in America, he is third, so you can kind of ignore him from the equation. So Alex Au versus Andrei Lewandowski by a point in Pro-Am. In Lamborghini Cup, Paolo Biglieri and Petr Matic are now 11.5 ahead of the Privitellios. In the Pro competition, Brendan Leach is 17 ahead of Mattia Michelotto and Gilles Stadsbader after yesterday's win. And Gabriele Rindoni, you just heard from, he is now 12.5 points ahead of yesterday's Am winner Ibrahim Badwe, the Egyptian driver within the Am competition. So that's how we stand as far as the different classes within the championship are concerned. As for 50 minutes of racing, it'll be a formation lap, pit window between 20 and 30 minutes, and action guaranteed if yesterday's race is anything to go by. So the fans are ready, the drivers are ready, and we look forward to race 2 of the weekend in a few moments' time. Amaury Bonduel, the man on pole position, Brendan Leach alongside him. Exactly the same front row that we had yesterday. And Brendan Leach certainly quick off the line yesterday and then lost out over the course of the pit stops because of having to serve an extra 3 seconds against the car of Sebastian Balthazar and Marzio Moretti. But it was in traffic on the last lap that he was able to make his move and dive back through. It was an inspired move, and Brendan Leach was pretty pleased, pretty chipper about it, understandably. So it was a good drive, good win, and having taken one victory at the Nürburgring, another victory for him then in yesterday's race. So 2 victories this year then, having gone the way now of Brendan Leach. Let's see whether he can do a double here and a third of the season maybe. So the grid formed, and everybody now looking for the countdown to get underway. Wet tyres were brought onto the grid, but that was more of a just in case. The cloud has broken, the sun very warm, bursting through, and a road that was really wet at 9 o'clock when we had GT qualifying is now pretty much bone dry. There is Brendan Leach's car, you can see, 86. Alex Au, I mentioned, is the leader of the Pro-Am competition. He's got a new co-driver for the weekend because with 1 or 2 drivers like Frederick Schandorf away racing in the States. Patrick Kujala joins him this weekend, and Patrick's with Gemma Scott.
Patrick, you're no stranger to this championship at all. You won the championship, I believe, in 2015, and you're back racing with us this weekend.
Yeah, of course, very happy to be back in the championship that, let's say, started my GT career. And yeah, it's always nice to come back.
It's an incredibly competitive championship, and it's grown so much since it first started.
Yeah, I mean, Lamborghini Squadra Corsa has done an amazing job. If you remember when they started back in the day with the Gallardos and now here, I think they could be very proud.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the race.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lamborghini Super Trofeo really has come of age in the last few years, and if you go back a long, long time, in its early days, it was small grids and it was very much a gentleman racer series. Now, yes, there are gentleman racers on the grid, but it's also very much a career championship for aspiring GT drivers. Lamborghini has a junior program, it has a young driver program. So some of the drivers it places in GT3 teams, some are on this grid, and Lamborghini, with Giorgio Sana running Lamborghini Squadra Corsa, himself a former racer in this championship, it is now a hugely important part of Lamborghini, not being, if you like, an afterthought, and the success and all the hard work reflected in a championship here with 40-plus cars, strong in America, strong in Asia as well, and the World Finals, which is always a great celebration of Lamborghini racing, this year at Vallelunga once more. It was held here a few years back, and indeed this is the first time that the Lamborghini Super Trofeo has come to the Valencia circuit, the circuit Ricardo Tormo, since 2016, and becomes one of a number of Spanish tracks to host Super Trofeo. Barcelona, it has been to Jerez, Navarra, and of course Valencia. So walk up the grid shows Amory Bonduel and Brendan Leach at the front, ahead of Largin Ali and Mattia Michelotto, then Dan Arrow in 33 and Federico Scianti lining up next. On the fourth row of the grid, you've got Sebastian Balthazar and Rodrigo Testa ahead of Jim Pla and Doug Bolger. They tangled yesterday. Josef Zaruba and Igor Orodchev come next from Renault Kuppens and Gabriel Rindoni in 21. In 81 is Alex Au, and 13 is Stefan Guerin ahead of Milan Petelet and Filippo Berto. Next comes Stefan Tribodini and Patrick Mattison, former British GT racer. Then Pedro Ibrahim in 44. Bronek Fomenek is next from Nigel Skundervoort and Ibrahim Bardaway. Is he there? Question mark. Jean-Francois Bruno's car is. Jürgen Krebs likewise ahead of Eduardo Liberati and Martin Rieber's car. Then you've got Emmanuel Colombini. Mariusz Mikos has El Dubali for company from Petar Matic and then Holger Harmsen. There's Mark Rostan, Gregor Marchulski and Nigel Bailly ahead of Enrico Vetra. Then Jose Alfredo Hernandez from Antonios Vossos. Serge Doms has Luciano Privitello alongside, and on the back row should be Jason Keats, but I'm not sure that car. Oh, yes, it is there, and Andrei Lewandowski a long way back in number 16. So the grid is formed, and so now we will await the cars being released onto this formation lap. So the green flag is waved. Cars accelerate away and down through turn one. Speed build when we go racing, of course, but now it's a chance to get some temperature into the tyres. I was mentioning the fact that Brendan Leach has had 2 victories, 3 have gone the way of championship rivals Mattia Michelotto and Gilles Stansbader. So Bonduel on pole, Leach with him. Second row, Lagim Ali starting alongside Mattia Michelotto, and then Dan Arrow alongside Federico Scionti. And there's drama there coming out of turn 1. Somebody has had a moment and rejoins the pack. Try and identify that in a moment. Sebastian Balthazar is alongside Rodrigo Testa. Jim Pla then with Doug Bolger alongside him. Josef Zaruba with podium finisher in class yesterday, Igor Orodchev. Next comes Renault Coupens with Gabriel Rindoni next. Alex Au for Target Racing has Stéphane Guérin for the Arcadia team lining up alongside. Then it is Milan Petelet and Filippo Berto for Oregon. Stefan Tribodini for CMR and Patrick Mattison, the Danish driver, ahead of Pedro Ibrahim and Bronek Formanek next on the grid. He's on the 11th row. The 12th row, Nigel Skoundevoort, who will give way to Jelmer Berman. Yesterday's AM winner, the Egyptian driver Ibrahim Badawi, comes next from Jürgen Krebs and Jean-Francois Bruno. Next, Eduardo Liberati, sharing with Martin Rieber, and then Emanuele Colombini, I should say, ahead of Mariusz Mikos. El Jubili comes next. Petar Matic is alongside Holger Harmsen. Mark Rostan starts the Iron Linked car, and Gregor Bachulski for GT3 Poland. Disabled driver Nigel Bailly with Enrico Bettera alongside him, ahead of Jose Alfredo Hernandez Ortega and Antonios Vossos. Then Serge Doms and Luciano Privitilio, with Jason Keats and Andrzej Lewandowski to round out the grid. And an extra formation lap is going to be given. So an extra formation lap for the cars, and the lights will stay on yellow. The extra formation lap legend is on the electronic gantry. So the cars being given the extra formation lap, possibly because it's been a bit damp this morning and it just gives them a chance to check the track surface. The clock will start, but the extra formation lap within the time. Confirmation of it, so the message through nice and early this time, and the field coming then now down towards turn 14. Next time around they'll all get themselves in formation, so the leading car, the pace car as it becomes, the Lamborghini Urus, goes through. So the clock starts, the race is effectively on, even though we are still under safety car conditions. Race director Alain Adon is the man that makes the call, and he's had a busy day, what with being race director for GT2 as well as GT3 here, but Alain, who took over responsibility for Super Trofeo last year, and making sure that drivers respect the start procedure, but also that the track is 100% safe for when they go racing. Number 44 you're riding with, the Oregon entry of, in stint 1, Pedro Ibrahim, and then Spanish driver Guillem Jojoy Bayer. And there is the other reason for the delayed start, if you like, car being craned away. That looks like one of the cars from the Michenek ACCR team, which would either be 66, the Karol Basch Bronek Formanek car, or Kurt Wagner and Josef Zaruba's car. We'll see if we can focus in on that and have a look at whose car it is being taken away. Car's up to turn 6 then. And there is somewhat concerned Karol Basch. That might answer the question. So the car in question out of harm's way, so he should be able to go this time. We understand that it is the Karol Basch Bronek Formanek car that ain't going to be starting then, so Bronek Formanek would have been on the 11th row, but that car going no further, which is disappointing for the team. So Bronek Formanek out of the race on lap 1 effectively. So this time around they'll get themselves in formation. leaving from Brendan Leach to try and encourage a bit of warmth into the rubber. Also, possibly just to lay down a marker for Amaury Bonduelle to say, right, I'm on my toes here, so give me room on the first lap of the race. Brendan Leach, championship leader. In the past, we've seen him sharing cars. This year, he's been given driving duties on his own, and it shows what a difference that makes, not having your results affected by a slower co-driver. So third in the opening race at Paul Ricard, third in the second race at Paul Ricard. He got a second at Spa. Didn't score quite so well in the second race, but then a second place and a win at the Nürburgring and a win yesterday. So 84, Brendan Leach, the man to watch on the outside of the front row. Amaury Bonduelle, the pole position driver then. The gold car, whether it's a gold medal, if you like, come the end of the race. Perhaps on the evidence of yesterday, you would say is unlikely, but Bonduelle, worth watching, that's for sure. So down they come into the turn 13 left-hander. Bonduelle has a quick look across to see where Brendan Leach is. And the clock ticks towards 46 minutes and a bit, and this time around the race will be underway for good, in as much as the clock carries on ticking, but we will go to green flag conditions. One hopes. The lights on red now go green. They blast away. Good getaway by Bonduelle. Good getaway also by Michelotto from the second row. Number 6, the VSR car of championship second place man Mattia Michelotto, Italian GT champion. He's right there with them as they dive down towards turn 1. Bit of contact. Dan Arrow's blue car in the middle of all of that. He goes around. Others scatter in avoidance. So Dan Arrow sharing with Amber Eaton gets going again in the Rebellio car, but somewhat delayed. This is the view of Pedro Ibrahim going up now through turn 2. Back onto the power. And now they wriggle their way down through the next sequence of corners with left at 3. Right at 4, short straight, turn right again at turn 5, and then make the small climb up now to turn 6, where the top 2 are escaping, with Amaury Bonduelle ahead of Brendan Leach. On the outside line there, 13, Stefan Guerin's car. He is sharing with Edgar Malloy, and it is Stefan Guerin behind the wheel, as right now, hustling on here is Pedro Ibrahim, and already off the road is Jason Keats then. So number 54 from the back of the grid in the gravel, and the Canadian driver ensnared, and if he can't get himself out of that, then it might be an early interruption. Let's see. So he's off in the first sector of the lap. Yellow flags are showing, and they're also off the road has gone number 5, the GT3 Poland car of Gregor Mokczulski, and 99 is off the racetrack as well, Patrick Mattison. So that's all happened, I think, going up to turn 9. Rejoining is the car there of Mokczulski. The leaders come over the line, and it's Bonduelle ahead, Leach in second place. Third is Largimali. Others go exploring look on the exit of turn 14, so there are lots of yellow flag zones now. Sector 1 and Sector 2 have both got yellows within, and the cars up towards turn 2. Bonduelle led Leach by 0.8 of a second. Largimali running in third place. Mattia Michelotto, despite looking quick off the start, hasn't really been able to make much progress as yet. So he's there, number 6, in fourth place. And behind him, Federico Scionti, who has been a very quick driver as we go safety car. Very quick driver within Midjet, making his debut in the championship. He's 5th at the moment. Safety car deployed. So didn't last long under green, did it? But we've gone safety car, and that's
safety car procedure. Safety car procedure.
So 81 up towards turn 6. Alex Au at the wheel. Hong Kong driver who has done the bulk of his recent racing either in America or in Europe, and that's rather because of the dramas of travelling across Asia. But as Asia opens up, he might well go back to racing in GT events out there. He was a front runner with Audis in the R8 Cup many years ago, and also raced in the early days of the Block Pan Asia series, as it was then called. So under the safety car, the race order, Amaury Bonduelle from Brendan Leach, 75. You can see the Artline car, Igor Oroshev starts in that. Right, replay at the start then. So good getaway by Bonduelle. And Michelotto looked quick, but couldn't really gain ground on the way down towards the first corner. Heading into the turn 1. Now, there's the contact as Michelotto turns in and sideswipes Dan Arrow, so he goes around. This is the view further back from Alex Au's car. All of a sudden, he sees Arrow fired off to the side. Gets up the inside going into turn 2. Turns up the curb. And this from another angle, Dan Arrow being turned around, but quickly getting the car back in the right direction. And he carries on, gets himself up towards turn 2. Now, by that stage, it's all a bit crowded. And do we discover where other people get in trouble? Some forced to slow right down on the exit of the corner. No, they all survive it, but their 54, Jason Keats, now gets a bit of contact, and that's where he disappears off the road. Contact by the look of it with 77 of Alfredo Hernandez Ortega. So, out of the race then, seemingly Jason Keats. Patrick Mattison's car was the other one that was off the road. The Oregon team studying all of their data. Oregon, a team that's run so many cars and so many championships for so many years, but the last, 3 seasons or so has come into Super Trofeo, and in a big way, very successfully as well. So, doing a very good job in this championship. But the car of Amaury Bonduel from the BDR Competition team, it is Leipert Motorsport, which has been a stalwart Lambo team, both in Super Trofeo and GT3 racing for many years, that operates Brendan Leach's car. The safety car will be in this lap. Abby Eaton looks on, a little bit frustrated that the car that she would have taken over and was on the 3rd row is now in 22nd place, but it is still going, which is the good news. It had dramas yesterday as well. The Rebellio car operated through Bonaldi Motorsport. The safety car has peeled in, so Bonduel versus Leach then as they come out of the last corner, 1 and 2, almost tripping over themselves. Bonduel has slowed them right down. Now he escapes, but it's all a bit messy behind. So Amaury Bonduel gets away, but having slowed the pack right down there, almost a few overlaps behind. Bonduel leads down towards turn 1. Brendan Leach behind him, and another big challenge on the inside by Mattia Michelotto for 3rd place. Up the inside of Lagin Ali. Together they run up now in towards turn 2. Michelotto doesn't go through, and he's under attack again from Federico Scionti, who is doing a very, very good job indeed here, new to the championship. The midjet racer, it's a totally different type of car from a Lamborghini Huracan, but he's right there, is Conti. And then in 6th place, Jim Pla. Now Jim, you can anticipate to be quick. He's another man driving in Pro-Am. He will give way to the slower Michel Blanchemin, but with Jim Pla behind the wheel, expect fireworks. There he is in the black, white, red striped car going up towards turn 6. Battles further back as another fight rages on. Dan Arrow goes around the outside there of Nigel Schoondervoort to try to make another place. So he's pushing forward all the time. Another one to the gravel down at turn 8 and battles his way out the other side. So again, drivers pushing, trying to make progress. And Dan Arrow on his toes, 27, is also in the mix as they drop down towards turn 10. That is Stefan Tribodini sorted out. So Dan Arrow, man inspired here. Arrow hits the target. Safety car again, we understand. It's come up on the timing screen. The safety car once more being deployed. So the safety car again, and there's a yellow flag, I think, out in the first sector. There's a snatch vehicle on the way, and that's the reason. It is the car of Emanuele Zonzini and Emanuele Colombini off the road. Now that is, I think, a recent trip into the gravel. That was the car that won Pro-Am yesterday, incidentally, and 78 off the road. So he's going no further. I think that's on the outside of turn 13, isn't it? Yes, it is. I can see him out of my window now. So that would have happened on that lap. That's happened after the safety car was called, I think. Possibly got caught out by people slowing ahead of him. That's the reason. Car off spectacularly into the gravel, and it is number 21 that we have lost, Gabriel Rindoni. Well, he was pretty confident on the grid when he talked to Gemma, but Rindoni off the road into the barriers. So a second safety car period is called for. So we've lost quite a few cars all of a sudden. The race order, such as it is, Amaury Bonduelle is ahead currently of Brendan Leach. In third place, Largin Ali ahead of Mattia Michelotto, then Federico Sciolti, and sixth, Jim Pla. Seventh, Sebastian Balthazar, eighth, Rodrigo Testa, ninth, Igor Orodchev, 10th, Doug Bulger. But there, in the gravel, is number 78, then, Emanuele Colombini, yesterday's Pro-Am winner, and that car having gone off the road, I think after the safety car was called. So this is how Colombini got it wrong. And comes up the inside. Oh, and he gets a big whack in the back, and that just shoveled him out of the way. I think that was people slowing for the safety car instruction, and some slowing rather more attentively than others. So he slowed and then just got shoveled out of the way. Couldn't make out who it was that did the shoveling. If we can see that again, then we can try and piece it all together, but that'll no doubt get looked at by the officials. So second safety car period, and this might be a longer one with a bit of barrier repair work if Rendoni's car is in the wrecked cell. That's the replay once more of Colombini being shoveled off the road. So the field comes over the line. Dan Arrow making progress back up the order after his spin. And 88, I think it was, that was the aggressor in that incident, which would be Jean-Francois Bruno's car. So very frustrated, Emanuele Colombini trudges away. Gabriele Rendoni likewise. The cars now turn their way up towards the exit of turn 5. There is, pulled out of the gravel, Jason Keane's car. So the Canadian driver out of the race. Others get ready to go because the pit window isn't that far away. Don't seem to have had many racing laps, but a pit window, if we are still behind the safety car, might be put back, might be delayed, but under normal circumstances we will be about just under 5 minutes off the window opening now. Drivers turning up towards the exit of turn 11. In the pit lane, they wait their turn. And there, cradled away, is the car of Colombini. The officials trying to make sure that it doesn't suffer any damage while it's being retrieved. So, field currently working lap 7 onto lap 8 in a moment. Going through. And it is Bonduelle from Leach, from Ali, from Michelotto, from Sciolti, and then Jim Pla in 6th place. And the safety car period's doing him no favours because he's not able to go at a proper pace and therefore try and build up any sort of a gap for Michael Blanchemin to preserve in the second stint. So the cars come through. I think Rendoni's car is out of the gravel. I think Colombini's car is out of the gravel. So safety car in this lap then. Safety car in this time. Back racing we shall go. And the drivers get themselves suited and booted because the window is not far therefore from opening. Field wriggling down the hill, and this time around we will will go green. For some, I would imagine they will pit as early as they can, because A, it gets them out of the traffic, but B, if you've got the slower driver in first, then you're going to want your gun in as soon as possible. And if that is the case, and therefore all these safety car periods have kept the pack together, you get your AM out of the way, puts you in the box seat really going into the second part of the race. So the second element of this could be quite lively indeed. So Bonduel will lead as he comes down towards turn 14, and he will sprint away, and we are 2 minutes away from the pit window opening. So the green flag is shown once again, and Amaury Bonduel tries to blast away with Brendan Leach chasing after him. Lagim Ali runs third, but he's under attack once again from Mattia Michelotto as they go now down towards turn 1. The rest of the pack comes streaming through, and the window shouldn't be open necessarily by the end of this lap, but by the end of the next it should. So Bonduel escaping, getting away just a little bit as they make the run up towards turn 2. Others go wide out of turn 1, and track limit warnings will be coming for that, no doubt. There is 71, the Martin Rieber Brutal Fish car, getting forced out wide as Dan Arrow comes up the inside. That's the car that Rieber shares with Eduardo Liberati. And now Martin Rieber is under attack from there, 27, the car in the hands of Stefan Tribodini. So Bonduel trying to get away, trying to build the gap once again. Another challenge is made on the inside line there by the Oregon entry number 11, which is Filippo Berto at the wheel of it. And the first safety car procedure is under investigation, as there wide is Alex Au. Pedro Ibrahim gets up the inside and goes through. This is Alex Au's view.
Drive-through penalty to car 88, causing a collision.
That is Jean-Francois Bruno being given a penalty for putting the car of Emmanuel Colombini into the gravel bed. Race leaders currently wriggle out of turn 12 to 13, and Bonduel actually on the restart not only has done a good job of it, but he's built the lead over the course of the lap. He's got away quite markedly now, it seems, from Brendan Leach in second place. So the gap growing just a touch. We are 15 seconds away from the window opening as the cars came up towards the line for the back of the pack. They might be able to dive early, get the stops out of the way, but Bonduel 1.3 seconds in the lead after that one lap alone after the restart. So really pushing, doing a very, very good job so far is Amaury Bonduel, as we do indeed have 1 or 2 cars for the pit lane. So Jean-Francois Bruno gets his penalty, but into the pits comes Mariusz Mikos, comes Andrzej Lewandowski, Petr Matic is in, Gregor Boczulski in as well. So it's the AMs, if you like, and the Lamborghini Cup entries that come in. Luciano Privatello in to give way to his son Donovan. Battle on here, look for third place. Lagim Ali ahead of Mattia Michelotto. Into the pit lane comes number 32. So the stop for Petr Matic to give way to Paolo Bilieri. Second, third, fourth, and fifth together. Leach, Ali, Michelotto, Conti running as one. Lagim Ali will give way to Oliver Söderström on the next stint, and Mattia Michelotto dancing over the curb as he tries to challenge. Michelotto we've also seen in GT racing. He's come out of Italian GT events. We've seen him in Fanatec GT as well, but here he will give the car to Gilles Stadsbader. I don't think he's quite as quick as Mattia, but he's not slow, that's for sure. And so this car is going to be another one to watch going into the second stint of the race. Michelotto coming under renewed attack from Federico Sconti as they come up towards the line. Does anybody bail out of that leading line? No, out of the top 5, but 7th is in. Sebastian Balthazar to give way to Marzio Moretti now. So Moretti in to 61. That will be the change. And up towards here, turn 2, comes Amaury Bonduel. Brendan Leach, though, dropping away a little bit now into the clutches almost of this fight behind. Remember, Bonduel and Leach make slightly slower pit stops than Lagim Ali will do to give way to Söderström, that Michelotto will do to give way to Stadsbader, and Federico Sconti likewise, double driver entry, he will give that car to Matteo Desideri. Michelotto on his toes, still trying to unsettle Lagim Ali. So the window open, pit stops now start to cycle through. Another look by Michelotto to the inside line, but again, doesn't work for him, can't find a way by. So Lagim Ali doing a good job here of defending. Now Michelotto goes to the inside into turn 11, and he's got it done. Finally, through he goes on lap 11. At turn 11, he's gone by. So Lagim Ali, the Danish driver, drops back behind, but he's still got good pace to hang on into that group, keeping Federico Schonti at bay as they come now up through turn 13. Schonti is closing all the time, and Michelotto, now that he's been released, sets off in pursuit. We've got another car in the gravel over at turn 8. The leader is in. Amaury Bourgeois comes down the pit lane. There's the car in the gravel, look, over at turn 8. It is the Iron Lynx car of Mark Rostam. So Amaury Bourgeois comes down the pit lane. Doug Bulger is in as well. And also coming in is number 44, Pedro Ibrahim, to give way to the Spanish driver, Guillaume Peugeot. Big dive by Michelotto into the inside line at turn 2, incidentally, as 28 serves the stop. The erstwhile race leader, Amaury Bourgeois, tyre pressures adjusted. More battling goes on lower down the order as well, though. You can see number 16 through on the inside line. That is Andrei Lewandowski, and a serial winner of Pro-Am and AMs, whether it's been in championships or in the World Final. Making good progress then is Lewandowski. So we've got cars in the gravel again around the circuit. We've got Amaury Bourgeois serving his regulation time in the pits. And as soon as he can, he'll be good to go back out once more. So on track, Brendan Leach will now lead from Mathieu Michelotto, Lagim Ali behind. And Federico Schonti is then in 4th place, or has he managed to wriggle away by? Look at the way now, though, that Michelotto, having got himself up through the traffic, is right onto the tail of Brendan Leach. Brendan's car does not seem to have quite the same, if you like, get up and go that it did yesterday. It's not a slow car, but it's not perhaps quite as quick. Whether that's a tyre pressure problem that needs adjusting, we'll see, but he may pit this time. These are the cars after their stops carrying on. Yes, Brendan Leach into the pit lane, so Mathieu Michelotto takes over the lead on the road. But where does he rejoin relative to Bourgeois? Well, the cars come up towards turn 2. Amaury Bourgeois, I reckon, has kept the race lead, and there, right on his tail, is Marzio Moretti. So the car that Sebastian Balthazar started, right up with Amaury Bourgeois, and Marzio Moretti breathing down his neck as they turn now up through turn 4, turn 5. Remember that Bourgeois has a perceived advantage by having already driven the car. Moretti fresh into it, and into the back he goes. Contact very definitely made going up towards turn 6. No question about the fact that Marzio Moretti wants the lead, but he can't do it at turn 7 because there's a yellow flag waving with the car being hoiked out of the gravel. So there you'll see in a moment the car of Mark Rostam being attended to. So the yellow flag's covering that rather than yet another safety car. And there, the race leaders, you can see the damage now on the front of Marzio Moretti's car, but fair play to Amaury Bourgeois, he's managed to stand his ground. Now, where in relation to them has the car of Mathieu Michelotto got to? Back in the pack, number 10 is Hugo de Wilde, who's now taken the car over from Rodrigo Testa. So up towards the end of the lap they will come then, and Hugo de Wilde's car a lap down, slightly out of sequence. So Amaury Bourgeois goes through, goes over the timing line, as now into the pit lane comes Mathieu Michelotto to give way to Gilles Stadsbader. So the race leading battle continues, as now Brendan Leach versus Amaury Bourgeois side by side into turn 2. Bourgeois runs him out wide, so Brendan Leach was just ahead after the pit stops, but not anymore, and Moretti gets past the pair. Marzio Moretti gets up past Bourgeois, this time cleanly, so he's gone by. Hugo de Wilde there, number 10, is right with them as well. So he is in fact part of that leading group now, having taken over from Rodrigo Testa. The car was not really anywhere in the pack in the first stint, but Hugo de Wilde, very, very good single-seater turned LMP3 racer, right with Brendan Leach. And Leach is one of the losers after the pit stops, isn't he? Down to 3rd place. So that is Gilles Stadsbader's car, getting ready to rejoin the race.
Drive-through penalty to car 64 for causing a collision.
And 64 is the Target Racing entry of Antonios Vossos. So we've not seen the collision that was caused, but he has taken the rap for it. So 61, the race leading car now then of Marzio Moretti ahead of Amaury Bourgeois, and Brendan Leach, for whatever reason, as I said earlier, just not quite as rapid today as yesterday. doing his best to get up with the leading gaggle again. There is the incident in question. So it was Vossos that got into the back of Rostan. Hence Rostan is in the gravel and being retrieved, and hence the penalty now comes. So that answers that as the leaders go by. And back out has come Stadsbader, ahead by the look of it of Moretti. So number 6 keeps the race lead on the pit stops. And Marzio Moretti now is behind Oliver Söderström. So third he is after the pit stops. So you've got Stadsbader in the white car, Oliver Söderström there in the black car, and Marzio Moretti in the multicoloured Oregon entry in third. Fourth is Bonduel, fifth is Brendan Leach. So in this race, the soloists have really lost out with the extra 3 seconds served in the pits. Moretti will be as aggressive again as he was before, no doubt, when he was on the tail of Bonduel to try to get past Söderström. Just over 21.5 minutes to go, and again Moretti is denied a chance to challenge in that yellow flag zone. The lights flash. No way through there, hence as he comes now into turn 8. Cars now flick their way out of turn 10. Slide by Söderström. Moretti up the inside, goes through. Forced a mistake out of the Swedish driver, and so now Marzio Moretti goes up 1 spot. The Balthazar Moretti combination strong in the championship by banking points. They've not had a win yet. Well, it's going to be a tough ask to get onto terms with the lead car, but the way that Moretti is going, dancing around the racetrack with it, absolutely on the limit, don't rule it out. Up towards the line then comes Gilles Stadsbader. So he is the best of the stoppers at the moment, and the margin that he's got to Moretti, 2.6 seconds. This is Stadsbader's first proper flying lap after a pit stop. The last one included the pit stop, so now we'll see what his pace is. But there, between them now, is number 50, rejoining after the stop. So up into second spot of the cars that have made a pit stop goes the Federico Schonti started car, now in the hands of Matteo Desideri. So that's another one that Moretti has got to try and get past. So there, Stadsbader leads, Desideri in second place, and then it's Moretti in third, in fourth Söderström, fifth Bonduel, and down to sixth Brendan Leach, yesterday's race winner. Seventh at the moment will be therefore Hugo de Wilde, as the cars come once more down towards turn 8. So Gilles Stadsbader ahead at the moment of Matteo Desideri, who we've also seen in Fanatec GT this year, but it doesn't look as though Stadsbader's pace is good enough to really repel the pack at the moment. If anything, they are closing on him. Down to the completion of lap 15 will come the leading group. More pit stops being cycled through. Jim Pla is in, Dan Arrow is in to give way to Abby Eaton, and so Gilles Stadsbader goes across the timing line in number 6, being chased by then Matteo Desideri. 1.2 seconds is the margin. Then behind them, Marzio Moretti, who's a further 6/10 back. So that lap from Stadsbader was a 1:35.9 and a 1:35.1 by Moretti. So definitely Stadsbader is being caught. So this car, number 6, the VSR entry, that's had 3 wins in Pro this year, leads the way out of turn 4. Once the pit stops have done, we'll have a look at the other classes as well, but most definitely in Pro, leading the way is the Lamborghini of VSR, of Stadsbader. Then you've got behind Matteo Desideri. Big squeal of tyres, just heard in the background. Now, was that up at turn 6? Yes, it looks like there's been a spinner up at turn 6. So there's a car off line, trying to rejoin. There it is. That brings out a yellow flag, and it was Michael Blanchemin, having taken over from Jim Pla, that has had the moment, but he has got going again, so the road is clear. So tyre squeal gives the game away. Last of the pit stops is done. That's the car that Mark Rostan was driving when it was assisted towards the gravel. And that therefore means that Claude Gosselin might get a drive. riding on board with Patrick Kujala now, who has taken over from Alex Au, dives up the inside, coming down to the end of the back straight, goes through on the inside of Doug Bolger, gets ahead of the Anglo-Japanese driver. There are the three leaders then. Stadsbader 8 tenths ahead of Desideri, who in turn is 4 tenths ahead of Moretti. This is building up nicely, isn't it, with still 17 minutes and change to go. And those three getting away now from Oliver Söderström in 4th place. Brendan Leach is up to 5th, and he's got past Omri Bonduel. 7th is Ugo de Wilde. 8th is Patrick Kujala, leading Pro-Am. Abby Eaton is 9th. Doug Bolger is 10th. The leading Am is 62 Ibrahim Badoué, who won yesterday. And the leading Lamborghini Cup entrant will be number 32, Petar Matic Paolo Bilieri's car. And that's the 26th spot overall at the moment. So Patrick Kujala, absolutely flying. Very, very handy GT racer. We can see him, you'll recall, in British GT aboard a Mercedes a few years back, and was very quick in that. He's been quick whether you put him in a GT3 Lamborghini or whether you put him into a Super Trofeo car. With Alex Au, the Hong Kong driver, he leads in Pro-Am. Patrick was a very fast single-seater racer. Got as far as GP3 level before taking a career switch to GT cars. And really, it's with Lamborghini that he's made his name. So Kujala is ahead in Pro-Am. Eduardo Liberati replacing Martin Rieber is 2nd. And Shota Alcázava replacing Igor Oroshev is 3rd in the class at the moment. Blanchiment goes through the stripy car. That's Ibrahim Badoué, who is leading Am. Won it yesterday and looking very, very strong again now. The Am Cup is Badoué from now Pierre Feligioni and then Karim Auger in 3rd. And Ibrahim Badoué learning about all these circuits. The Egyptian driver has adapted very, very well to Super Trofeo, and his maiden season comes up towards the timing line now. Goes through, and up front, Stadsbader's advantage is down to 7 tenths of a second then, so it's game on for the race lead still. Michael Blanchiment in 92, the black on one side, red on the other car, turns out of turn 1. He is in 21st place, Badoué the Am leader 22nd, and there is the Lamborghini Cup class leader, Paolo Bilieri, taking over from Petar Matic, and 24th they run at the moment. 2nd in Lamborghini Cup, Jürgen Krebs, and 3rd is Jose Hernandez Ortega. More drama going down towards turn 8, and they all sorted themselves out in replay there you can see, but 3 into 1 didn't quite go, did it? Rather battered cars limp on, and drama for number 50. Now that, trying to pick up pace, is the car that Matteo Desideri took over from Federico Sconti. It was running 2nd, and so Desideri with a problem. He's got the pace back again, but it was coming down towards turn 11. Turned into the corner, just got it sideways, big, big wobble. Off the road he went, through the gravel, and Desideri has thrown away a chance of a win out of all of that, because making up that lost time and all those lost places, very, very difficult. He did a good job of getting out of the gravel, but Matteo Desideri down in 8th place now, and so it is that man, Gilles Stadsbader, ahead of Marzio Moretti. Game on, 1.3 seconds between them. Last time, actually, Stadsbader was just fractionally faster, so as his stint has worn on, he's got faster and more confident in the car. Big dive in replay there. Look, charging through, elbows out, they're running out of road. Number 5, the car of Adrian Lewandowski. His dad's in number 16, watching all of this. But that now is the chasing Marzio Moretti. He is in 2nd place, and he's taken half a second out of Stadsbader in the first sector alone. So the Oregon entry of Marzio Moretti is on an absolute mission. The traditional piratical cross on the side of the Oregon cars, their trademark. There in the race is Claude-Yves Gosselin, so number 4 hoiked out of the gravel, but allowed to rejoin. So he's many, many laps behind, but at least Claude-Yves Gosselin gets some mileage in. So there is 44, that is Guillaume Peugeot. He's just lost out to Eduardo Liberati, ahead of him in the brutal fish car that's gone by. And this is Guillaume then pushing on. Peugeot in another of the Oregon entries, but he's lost a place. That said, Liberati is fighting in Pro-Am, whereas Pioy is in the Pro class. So in terms of points, doesn't affect life too much. Liberati going after Kujula for a class win. 12.5 minutes on the clock then as these last few laps tick down. 0.7 of a second between the top two in the race right now. So Gilles Stadsbader ahead of a really hard charging Marzio Moretti. You can see the way that car is absolutely on the limit. He's up the curve, he's sideways under braking. He's giving it a real workover as there, a spin for number 16 of Artem Petrov, taking over from Andrei Lewandowski. So that car that was running fourth in Pro-Am has had a spin.
Drive-through penalty to car 17, 62, 89 and 77 for overtaking under safety car procedure.
Right, so out of all that long line, you've just seen the replay of Petrov getting it wrong. Number 17 is the Serge Doms solo entry. 62 is significant because it's the AM leader, Ibrahim Bedoué. 89 being given a penalty is now Yelma Berman at the wheel of it. And number 77.
27, 5-second time penalty added to the final results for track limits.
77 is Alfredo Hernandez Ortega, and the most recent message you've heard of a penalty for 27 is the Stefan Tribodini Loris Kabiru car. The track limit offences. That's Igor Orachev facing the wrong way, so we've got 11 minutes on the clock. So inevitably, perhaps, in a Super Trofeo race after the pit window, penalties come, but actually it's not for being short on the pit stops this time. It is for overtaking under the safety car that's been looked at. And Igor Orachev has got himself going once more, but Ibrahim Badoué, leading AM from Karim-Auger, is going to have a drive-through, and that's going to cost him a class win, potentially. In he comes, and in also here will be one or two more. So down the pit lane, Ibrahim Badoué, he's got the message early from the team. The DL consulting car, Lamborghini Roma, the dealer that backs the team. So down the pit road comes Ibrahim Badoué, and now we need to see where he rejoins relative to 18 Karim-Auger. The race leaders coming up to more and more traffic now, so that gap coming down a little bit. They're going through. It's Brendan Leach. Now he's fourth, he's on the back of Oliver Söderström, so he's still hunting for a podium out of all of this. He's not given up, that's for sure. More drama, and number 2 is the one that gets hit and shouldered out of the way there. So that is Pierre Feligioni in the gravel. He's going to dig himself out the other side, so that is a relief. Feligioni got involved in the traffic. I think it might have been Wilfried Casalbon that was the aggressor there. Let's have another look, as yes, it was Casalbon right into the back of him. It's all a bit brutal, to say the very least, and Feligioni rejoins, but I can't imagine that's done the car a whole heap of good. So the race leaders through the traffic, 9 minutes change on the clock, and Stadsbader heads Moretti. Margin at the start of this lap, 0.6 of a second. Marzio Moretti needing now, I think, to try and use any back markers to his advantage, to try and force an error out of Stadsbader, because Gilles has got more, dare one say, solid as the stint has gone on. He just looks a little bit more settled now, doesn't he? And he's able to maintain a gap, even if it's only a small gap, but it doesn't matter about what he wins, as long as he does win. That's Karim-Auger then, who this time around ought to take over the lead of AM. Took the car over from El Doubali, and now takes the class lead away from Ibrahim Badoué after that drive-through. So Karim-Auger into the lead of the class. The Boots and VDS colours that we see in Fanatec GT. You see how respectful of the curbing and the track limits Karim-Auger was there. Very competitive driver, Karim, very experienced as well, from Formula Palmer Audi to sports prototypes to GT cars to one-make GT, you name it. Karim-Auger has been a stalwart racer for many, many years. Character good to have on the grid too, as there is Marzio Moretti onto the pit straight. Gilles Stadsbader runs a little bit wide. Nervous faces in the pit boxes watching what's going on as through comes Stadsbader, through comes Moretti. Last time it was 0.671 of a second, this time it's 0.621 of a second. So a tiny, tiny gain by Marzio Moretti there with just under 8 minutes to go. So Stadsbader now, in a sense, just has to, it's easier said than done, keep out of trouble here, maintain concentration, not put a wheel wrong, and then the victory should go his way. But is that what is going to happen? We shall see, because Marzio Moretti has thrown pretty much everything at this behind him. They come now up through turn 6. There you've got the fight behind. Oliver Söderström still ahead of, still keeping at bay the efforts of Brendan Leach. So the New Zealander in the Leipzig car, not able as yet to do anything about Söderström. Again, you see how difficult it is. You do all the hard work, you just about catch, but then that last elusive couple of tenths, very difficult to find, and then be able to make that move. Now, number 17 is being summoned to the stewards after the race, that being Serge Doms. That's all to do with the safety car procedure. He's been given a drive-through anyway, but whether that's been taken, I rather doubt. Battle on lower down, Ugo de Wilde here. Patrick Kujula is right up behind him in 81, and they are both on the tail of Amaury Bonduel. So battle on between these three as they come down towards turn 13. They are 5th, 6th and 7th at the moment, these three. They turn once again up over the timing line. Nose to tail. There, Brendan Leach on the back of Oliver Söderström. Goes through, and with Stadsbader this time having pulled away slightly from Moretti, this is the battle to watch now for 3rd place. Söderström being able to keep Leach at bay. So Brendan Leach will, even if he can't win this race, at least take another good haul of points out of it, with the 4 races over 2 weekends at Vallelunga to round out the championship. Super Trofeo spreading its wings a little bit this year. The plan was to go and have a race at the start of the season supporting
Car 15, 5-second time penalty added to the final racing time for disrespecting track limits.
Just finished by calendar point. That was a race that then was postponed, so they needed another home for those 2 races. And the penalty you've just heard being issued is for Doug Bolger, the American-Japanese driver, in 10th place. Fair play to Dan Arrow and Abby Eaton, by the way, in the Rebellio entry, because they've hauled it back up into 9th spot after the spin at the first corner. So there is Bonduel. Behind him it is Kujula, who's got himself ahead of de Wilde. But Gilles Stadsbader leads over the line. The clock ticks down into the last 5 minutes. So can the VSR car come through and take a 4th victory of the season? It'd be good for the championship for them, but Moretti still 0.6 of a second back, has certainly not given up. The fastest lap, by the way, 2 Amaury Bonduel
5-second
from
time
earlier on.
penalty to car 2, disrespecting track limits.
And number 2 is Pierre Feligioni's car, shared with
Drive-through penalty to car 77, pit stop infringement. Drive-through penalty car 77.
and that is
Pit stop
Jose
infringement.
Alfredo Hernandez Ortega, who's been given a penalty. So Alain Adon being kept busy with all the penalties. The pit stop times, if you're short on a pit stop, that's absolutely bang to rights. The timing data is there from Swiss Timing to show the stewards, and the penalty comes. But equally for track limits, the totting up process, and it's reset after the pit window closes, so it's all done in the second stint with all these warnings. Penalties coming. There, Söderström versus Leach, 3rd and 4th, still together. Through they turn. And number 61, Marzio Moretti, tantalisingly close to the back of Gilles Stadsbader, but he just has not quite found that extra couple of cars' lengths that would propel him right into contention. So through goes the traffic. Look back there in 55, the GT3 Poland car now, Bartosz Groszek at the wheel of it. 89 for Iron Lynx is Jelmer Burman, and he's in 21st place right now. Jelmer Burman, again, a real GT gun when he came out of single-seater racing a few years ago, but has dropped off the radar, sadly, in recent years. So, second-generation racer, Jelmer. There is the Lamborghini Cup leading car, Paolo Bilieri at the wheel of it. 22nd overall, Jürgen Krebs behind, but 1.2 seconds back at the start of this lap. And there is a new race order. So Marzio Moretti is through and ahead by the look of it. So the Oregon car has gone by out of sight, and Marzio Moretti is ahead now of Gilles Stadsbader. What's happened, say the team? How's that happened? Sebastian Balthazar says that's great news for us, and he wants to know how it's happened. So change for the race lead, and it is now Marzio Moretti ahead. Has he finally been able to force that mistake out of Gilles Stadsbader? That was about the only way he could have done it, I fear. So Gilles Stadsbader is also... now here's the replay. There's a penalty coming for Moretti. I'll come to that in a moment, but this was what happened, and Moretti was brave, getting up the inside into turn 2. Through he went, but Marzio Moretti is having a 0.12 of a second time penalty added for a pit stop infringement. So he's got the lead, but now there's a time penalty as well to their Sebastian Balthazar and Marzio Moretti's car. So he leads, and he's going to cover off the penalty, but now Moretti needs to keep going and push and try and get away to cover off that 1/10 of a second, just in case. More penalties are coming. One has just been given to Wilfried Casarbon, Nigel Bailly's car, for a pit stop infringement, to number 50 also for a pit stop infringement, which is the Desideri Scianti car that we saw off the road, and it did run second after the pit stop. So late race, it's all coming out of the system. The order gets all shuffled, but it is number 61 then, Marzio Moretti and Sebastian Balthazar leading from Gilles Stadsbader and Mattia Michelotto, and then third, Oliver Söderström and Largim Ali. Patrick Cuéllar, sharing with Alex Au, leads Pro-Am from Eduardo Liberati and Martin Riva, and third is Stefan Guerin and Edgar Maloin's car. What's going on in Pro-Am is the other question. That is Karim Auger at the moment, ahead of Adrian Lewandowski. And there, Amaury Bonduel up the inside of Cuéllar to retake 5th place. But Cuéllar comes back at him on the inside line. This section of the circuit is clear of yellow flags now, so the road comes back to Cuéllar. He goes through. Bonduel thinks about the inside line, more in hope than in anticipation, and he can't get by there. So Cuéllar it is, back up into 5th place. Hugo de Wilde in 7th in the bright yellow car, the Iron Lynx engine that he shares with Rodrigo Testa. So with the cars now, with 17 seconds on the clock, I think Marzio Moretti is going to squeeze one more lap out of this, because he's just going to get through before the flag comes out. He's into turn 14. He can't really afford to back it off, so up towards the line he comes. It's going to be close, I'll tell you, because as he comes up towards the line, the clock hits 0 just as he goes through. So Marzio Moretti has gone by, and he missed the cut by 0.2 of a second. When he crossed the line, he had done 49 minutes, 59.8 seconds. So for just under 0.2 of a second, he's got to do one more lap, but that helps him build the gap over Stadsbader in 2nd place. So Moretti pushes on. Marzio Moretti for the Oregon team going nicely, and the Oregon team celebrating, I suspect, a victory here, because I don't think close enough is going to get Gilles Stadsbader's VSR car behind as they turn again up to the exit of turn 6 and 7. So this is good news for Moretti and Balthazar in the championship, brings them closer to these two drivers, namely Stadsbader and Michelotto, and of course both combinations outscoring Brendan Leach, so that sets up the championship very nicely indeed. Moretti using all of the available curbing there. They had a win at Paul Ricard, but this will be a 2nd success of the season therefore. The last few corners ticked off, as there goes Oliver Söderström, who I think is going to be able to hang on to that 3rd place. 61 though, it's going to be a race win for Marzio Moretti. For Sebastian Balthazar, the checkered flag is at the ready, and through to win goes number 61, Marzio Moretti, and Sebastian Balthazar take race honours from Gilles Stadsbader, and Mattia Michelotto in 2nd place. Oliver Söderström fends off Brendan Leach for 3rd in the car that he shared with Largim Ali. 5th, Patrick Cuéllar to win in Pro-Am, sharing with Alex Au. 6th, Amaury Bonduel. 7th, Hugo de Wilde and Rodrigo de Testa Sousa. Then 8th place to Federico Scianti and Matteo Desideri after he went off the road. 9th, Abby Eaton and Dan Arrow. Good effort by both of them. And in 10th place, it will be Eduardo Liberati and Martin Riva and they in turn take second within Pro-Am. More class battles to resolve, because here, look, Jürgen Krebs has got himself right onto the tail of the Lamborghini Cup leader, that being Paolo Biglieri. So this is going to go down to the wire between the two of them as they come up towards turn 14. In traffic is a bit stuck there, Biglieri, but he's just got enough in hand, hasn't he, as he comes up towards the line. So Paolo Biglieri wins in Lamborghini Cup from Jürgen Krebs, and the third in the class will be the Privitellios. Donovan finishing, Luciano having started. Karim Auger and El Dubili win in AM, ahead of Adrian Lewandowski and Gregor Machulski. And then third, after his drive-through, Ibrahim Badawi. So, as expected, and as we got a lively race from Lamborghini Super Trofeo, their second race of the weekend, and all good stuff, lots of action all the way through. So a race win for Sebastian Balthazar and Marzio Moretti. Balthazar mugged at the end yesterday, but today it is Moretti absolutely on his toes, fighting his way through to a race win. So very happy Marzio Moretti, rather less happy, I suspect, Brendan Leach, making his way now down towards the pit lane, yesterday's winner, not being able to replicate that pace today. Drive through for car 40 and 14, converted to a 30-second penalty for causing a collision. Number 14 being the Oregon car, I think I'm right in saying, of Enrico Betterer and Lorenzo Pegoraro. And 40, Wilfried Casalmont, who we saw showing with Nigel Bailly getting involved up at turn 2. Right, provisional result then. Sebastian Balthazar and Marzio Moretti victorious, from Matthew Michelotto and Gilles Stadsbader, and then Oliver Söderström and Largin Ali taking third. Brendan Leach fourth, ahead of Alex Au and Patrick Cuyler, who win Pro-Am from Amaury Bonduel. Seventh, Hugo de Wilde and Rodrigo de Testa, then Matteo Desideri with Federico Schonti. Ninth was Abby Eaton and Dan Arrow from Martin Riva and Eduardo Liberati, second in Pro-Am. The other class positions of note, third in Pro-Am was the car of Stéphane Guérin and Edgar Maloin in the AM competition. A win for Karim Auger and El Dubili, ahead of Adrian Lewandowski and Gregor Machulski and Ibrahim Badawi. Third, Lamborghini Cup, won by Petr Matic and Paolo Biglieri, ahead of Jürgen Krebs, and then Donovan and Luciano Privitello taking third. Happy drivers aplenty. Summer with Gemma Scott.
Sebastian, when we saw the overtake, we saw you on screen and you looked like, hang on, how on earth has this happened?
Yeah.
When has this happened?
He did such a mega job, you know, he just went for it in the first lap, because if you're behind someone with a bad air, it's getting difficult, but he just did it, he didn't wait, and this was the key, you know. That's why I was so happy. Didn't expect it, you know, we start from P7, we had a difficult weekend, no free practice nearly, and then this is awesome. He did such a mega job, the whole team.
Absolutely, you did too in your stint. Marzio, just come and join us 1 second. That was quite some drive. Reeled him in, got the overtake and pulled away.
I will not comment much. I will just say that with hard work, grit and determination, we got what Friday seemed impossible. And this is just amazing. It's the best result we could have hoped for. Amazing work by the team. Car was mega, really happy. Now we just go to the podium, happily drink some water. So thank you all, it's been great.
Well done to both of you, congrats.
Thank you.
Hard work certainly for Marzio Moretti, but a happy man. And in super slow-mo you can see the car working, and Marzio Moretti and Sebastian Balthazar, two young guns, well regarded by Lamborghini. You can see why. Coming home 1.8 seconds ahead, even allowing for that penalty of just being fractionally short of the pit stop. Now we have the Pro-Am winners, Alex Au and Patrick Cuyler. Patrick Cuyler brought the car home, and he's with Gemma.
Patrick, we'll just grab you for a second. Congratulations, a class win. That's got to be feeling good after a last-minute call-up.
I mean, yeah, I came here just to help Fredrik and Alex on the championship. Yesterday we were unlucky, and today I think we maximized, and I think Alex and Fredrik could pull a cup to Lewandowski, so I think that was the target for this weekend, so job done.
Well, you had quite a battle up there as well.
Yeah, I mean, at some point when they told me I was leading class, and I saw some pros fighting, and I said, there's no point of losing or having any kind of damage. So when they did the mistake, I went through, but if not, I would have stayed behind.
So cool and calm, I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's experience for you, isn't it? Patrick Kuila, even if he can't influence the championship for himself, he's done exactly what was required of him. He's helped his co-driver, he's helped him bank points, he's helped Alex Au increase the advantage in the championship, and mission accomplished. So as the drivers make their way to the podium, let's look back on the second race of the weekend then for Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Extra formation lap when the cars were released. It was a good getaway by Amaury Bonduel, but the race was much interrupted to begin with so many cars all going for the same bit of real estate. The first casualty was Dan Arrow, but actually he got going again, and in the end he and Abby Eaton brought the Rebellio car up into 9th place. Excellent effort considering how many places were junked at the start. Safety car was deployed, but Jean-Francois Bruno didn't get the message quite as quickly as Emmanuel Colombini, who he shovelled out of the way. Race restarted, and once more it was the all-gold car of Amaury Bonduel that got away. When the pit window opened, in dived Sebastian Balthazar, and he would give way to Marzio Moretti. Mathieu Michelotto and Gilles Stadsbader's car working its way up the inside of Oliver Söderström Largin Ali's entry. As the pit stop cycle through, Bonduel and Brendan Leach got themselves together ahead of Marzio Moretti, and as they busily battled out wide, Moretti lucked into 2 more places through he went. Moretti then set about Largin Ali, who had given way to Oliver Söderström. Söderström got a little bit sideways, that opened the door, through went Moretti. There were other battles further back, but Wilfried Casarbon got a bit carried away trying to find a way past Pierre Feligioni, and for that copped a time penalty. And then this really bold move by Moretti for the lead. Absolutely on the limit coming out of turn 1. Full send up the inside and went through to pick up the place going into the turn 2 long left-hander. Through he came, even with a time penalty for being too short on the pit stop. A race win for Marzio Moretti and Sebastian Balthazar. So the podium awaits. And the winning drivers will be heading in that direction. The Super Trofeo officials ready to receive them. And when they get there, they will be no doubt a very happy Marzio Moretti and Sebastian Balthazar for the top step of the podium. As far as the championship is concerned, Brendan Leach still ahead, but the margin slightly reduced over Mattia Michelotto and Gilles Stadsbader. Marzio Moretti and Sebastian Balthazar also closing into the mix. So it's been a good race win yesterday for Brendan Leach, good victory today for Marzio Moretti and Sebastian Balthazar, and with the remaining 4 races all going to be at Vallelunga, how well drivers and teams indeed adapt to that circuit is going to be absolutely crucial in the outcome of this year's championship. The extra weekend in Vallelunga, the replacement round for the abandoned Imola event at the start of the year. Right, so drivers are amassing, but no drivers as yet for the podium. They are getting towards the podium, we are told, but in the background, noise comes from the Vol race competitors. So as soon as the victorious drivers have made their way up the steps, we can reflect on a good win for Marzio Moretti and for Sebastian Balthazar. And I think hopefully now we have got drivers arriving, because through the door they come. And Oliver Söderström and Largin Ali are the first drivers up, from a slightly frustrated Mattia Michelotto and Gilles Stadsbader, but a delighted Marzio Moretti and Sebastian Balthazar for the top step of the podium. The Oregon team drivers take victory in race 2 of the weekend in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. So Giorgio Sana from Lamborghini Squadra Corsa is going to make the presentations. Giorgio himself, former racer, race winner indeed in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and it's a lot of his hard work and effort that has made the championship the success that it is. Trophies go to Oliver Söderström and Largim Ali. Largim new to the championship this year, but adapting nicely to these cars and to the championship. And the trophies have gone to second. A rather disappointed looking, to say the least, Gilles Stadsbader, who looks longingly at the celebrations on that top step, thinks about what could have been, but the top 2 drivers then, the 2 winning drivers of Marzio Moretti, Sebastian Balthazar, pose for the cameras, and the vanquished VSR drivers force a smile next to them. So the champagne will be next at the end of race 2 of Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and the celebrations are well and truly underway. The Oregon team drivers know that has brought them very much back into the mix as far as the championship contest is concerned. So delight all round for Marzio Moretti and for Sebastian Balthazar, and the way that Marzio Moretti was talking at the end of the race, illustrating just how hard he'd worked in order to get that car into contention for the race win. So the podium is now being made ready for the Pro-Am drivers, Patrick Cuellar and Alex Au, the Finnish Hong Kong combination, taking the win from Martin Rieber and Edoardo Liberati. Martin Rieber that we've seen in the World Touring Car Championship, World TCR, before coming to Lamborghinis, and then the 3rd placed drivers, Edgar Malloy and Stefan Guerin. There you've got Martin Rieber and Edoardo Liberati, and Patrick Cuellar and Alex Au for the top step. Patrick Cuellar and Edoardo Liberati have had many a battle together over the years, but they're the winning drivers for Target Racing on the podium. So the trophies to be presented, and Alex Au and Patrick Cuellar taking a class win. Trophies brought forward, and there for the 3rd place crew, Stefan Guerin, Edgar Malloy. Then you have the 2nd place drivers. A good effort that by Martin Rieber, who has come on a pace actually. He wasn't that quick when he first came into Super Trofeo midway through last year, but with help and tutelage from Edoardo Liberati, he's got much quicker, very quickly, in a short space of time, in other words. And then Patrick Cuellar and Alex Au. Let's not spray, says Alex Au. But Stefan Guerin and Edgar Malloy, very keen to get on with the job. Photos taken, I huddled together on the top step for the photographs, and that is the Pro-Am podium, where the winners are Alex Au and Patrick Cuellar. And with the next stop for Super Trofeo being Vallelunga, over 2 weekends, that is where the championships are going to be decided. This weekend we have had some very good racing indeed from Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and there is more to come in November when the championship will reconvene. For now though, from David Addison here at Valencia, thank you for your company, and it's goodbye.